Welcome back to Teushenthal for the Grand Prix of Germany, the 16th and final round of the 2012 FIM MX1 Motocross World Championship. My name's Paul Malin. You join us live here Sunday afternoon. We're about 2 hours drive from Berlin, 30k from Leipzig, and the 1600 meters circuit here in great condition in terms of traction out on the circuit, but it's a pretty physical and demanding place to come to, especially this late on in the afternoon. Hard bumps, deep holes, deep ruts, loose turns, hard and slick, deep ruts in the corners. In the MX1 race that's just about to get underway will certainly be a challenge for the riders. That's how they qualified yesterday. Kai Rowley, Max Nagel, Ken Roczen, Sean Simpson, Gauthier Paulin, De Dijker, Coppins and De Salle. But race one was a different affair. Max Nagel led for 8 laps before being passed by Tony Kai Rowley. Then he went missing. He got himself wrapped up in a bit of fencing and eventually came home in 7th position. De Salle was 2nd, Roczen was 3rd, Paulin 4th, De Dijker 5th, Bobryshev 6th, with Nagel 7th. Christophe Pourcel, though, an outside chance now for 3rd place in a championship. Gauthier Paulin would have pulled a few more points on him. It was 6th after the first moto, or before the first race, but that gap now out to 11 points. So really, Gauthier Paulin just needs to finish ahead of Christophe Pourcel, or just no more than a couple of positions behind, for him to be guaranteed his 3rd place in the championship this year. And that's not a bad performance for Gauthier Paulin, the official factory, the Kawasaki Racing Team rider from France, in his first year in MX1 competition. 15-second board goes up. About to turn to 5 seconds. Ingo Parch, our race director here this weekend. No Dave Nicol, but turns to 5. The music pumping, the crowd on their feet. We're on board with Tanel Leok here, gate number 2. And alongside him, one of the Red Bull KTMs. It's not Max Nagel, because he's out of there in quick time alongside Tony Kai Rowley, who grabs a rare hole shot and runs wide. But look at that once again. Roczen in there in 2nd position now. De Salle goes through into about 4th position as everybody goes through that first turn. So over the line they go. We've got Tony Kai Rowley. It should be from Ken Roczen. And just behind them, Clément De Salle. Over the first of the step-ups, then Max Nagel, Evgeny Bobryshev, Gauthier Paulin, Xavier Bourg, Christophe and Sébastien Pourcel, Gregory Aranda. And then Jonathan Barragan down in 11th, Coppins in 12th, Jamie Law in 13th, Simpson 14th, Brian McKenzie 15th, Guarnieri 16th, 17th, Kevin Strybos, Milko Podizek 18th, Jeremy Delitz and Pierre Filippo Bertuzzo. Adam Wheeler joins me from OnTrackOffroad.com. Adam Wheeler, it's been a great weekend of racing so far, but still 3rd place to fight for in the championship here in MX1.
Yeah, that's the important part from this second moto here, Paul, because we've got another KTM 1, 2, 3, with De Salle also hanging in there in 4th place. He's the only one that can upset those 3 orange bikes at the front.
Well, Ken Roczen obviously riding in his first ever MX1 Grand Prix. These guys here love it. The crowd, he's had them on their toes all weekend. So too has Max Nagel, but could have been a decent result for him, couldn't it? They could have had 2nd and 3rd in the first moto had, well, Max Nagel not wrapped it through the fence and caught the rear wheel and snagged himself back a few positions.
Yeah, there's 2 mistakes also from Roczen. You know, he's going to be going for the podium here in this second moto along with De Salle. It's, you know, these first 4 are going to be the main protagonists here, Paul.
Well, Tony Kai Rowley obviously wasting no time getting out in front here. Ken Roczen struggling to keep the pace with the 6-time world champion at the moment in the early stages. Clément De Salle, though, who's got 2nd position nailed on in the championship. He's there in 3rd place, just behind the young German, as everybody else comes through.
There's just a flood of Kawasaki's there, like 4 in a row. They had Paulin, Boog and the 2 Pourcels. It's a shame that Christophe Pourcel got better starts today, Paul, because yesterday he set the lap times. He was one of the main men, you know, MX1 for just marking out the pace. De Salle just trying to find a way through on
no, he's coming under pressure.
Yeah. Well, Bobryshev as well just hanging in there, but he's got that right thumb, hasn't he, that he kind of broke, and it's
good move
on the inside.
Gets it taken right back away from him, though. So Nagel finds a way through and then gets run wide by De Salle. He's not going to take it lying down. He doesn't care what Grand Prix it is or that it's Max Nagel's home crowd. He's fighting for 3rd place in this moto in the early stages, which is good to see. Final race of the year. And with the championship, Adam Wheeler, being decided in Faenza just 2 weekends ago, everybody's come here to race, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I was coming this out this morning. I said, you know, is there much motivation for this race? You know, with the nations next week as well being Belgian, it's a big thing for him. But he was saying, you know, he just wants to come here and have fun. You know, that's the important word for these guys. I think it is very much a little bit pressure off, and let's just see what can happen.
Obviously, we've got quite a few track changes gone on in the background there. The step down, then the step up into that corner just before where we were into there, and one or two other changes in readiness for the Nations next year. Still a lot of work to do, but you've been around the paddock this weekend. You've spoken to more than your fair share of riders. Initial feelings of the track from Saturday through Sunday?
It's really split opinion. There's some people that really like it. They say it's good to ride. Some people that, but not good to race. There's a real kind of divide there. Clement de Sal was particularly critical yesterday. He didn't like it so much, but then this morning he was saying, it's kind of changed and it's all right. But, this is kind of a hard pack and it's very twisty, a lot of close corners, Paul. So, you get a particular kind of racing, really.
Well, Tony Cairoli, when he came through on the first lap, was the fastest man on track at 1:59.7, almost 2 seconds clear. Well, 1.999, let's call it 2 seconds. Roczen there in second. But are you surprised at the performance, or was the back-end steps out there from Clement de Sal, the performance of Ken Roczen in the first race and during qualifying yesterday? Because particularly in qualifying, he didn't make a good start, did he? And he found his way through into third, just couldn't find a way past the number 12 of Max Nagel, who loses the rear end there.
No, to be honest, I'm not too surprised with Roczen, because I think for the first 3 laps of the opening motor, he just gave it full beans. I mean, he was right on the gas. But, on the 450, having not ridden it all year, I mean, I know he had a go on the 350 in Supercross. It was a replay again at the start. I don't think you've got to be a little bit more careful, haven't you? I mean, riders like Gautier Paulin have been riding the 450 all season long in their first season. And, it's just not so easy to throw it around like a 250 that Roxen's been used to in the AMA scene. Yeah,
he came back and rode a few weeks ago in an ADAC German Championship round, of course, at Geldorf. And
he actually dropped it there. Stall it, or
that's not the first time he's gone down there. He went down there as a Yamaha rider as well, I believe. But Tonoli up, just got himself hung up on the rut. And once you're difficult to get through there, once you're hung up there, it's difficult to get out of. But yeah, it's Roczen. He was on a 450 a few weeks ago. He obviously did some sand riding as well in preparation for Lommel. But yeah, back to the 250, and now here for the first time on it in that short period of time. But I'm impressed with the way that he's ridden. The crowd, I think, are as well. And we've got a great crowd here, great atmosphere, and a nice atmosphere, isn't it, as well, for the final round?
Yeah, I mean, if you look around, this really is a dress rehearsal for the 2013 Motocross of Nations. The track has been widened. It's been sort of, kind of adjusted in certain parts. I mean, the circuit overall, Nagel's really trying there, isn't he? There really is. The guys are trying different systems for access and the whole rest of it. So it's... even a few adjustments to the layout itself to try and make the track flow a little bit more. These guys don't have a GP next year, I believe. Well, it's not confirmed yet, but everything's looking towards those Nations. Nagel's just trying to find a way, pretty much like Cairoli was doing to him in the first moto.
Yeah, but de Sal, we always know he usually rides with that air radar on underneath the helmet, but trying to switch it up as much as possible. Max Nagel, number 12, and almost losing the front end there going into that turn. Couldn't quite get over the ruts, but Clement de Sal, number 25, in third on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki Wild MX1 machine, making the number 12 Red Bull KTM of Max Nagel work extremely hard at the moment. Meanwhile, Tony Cairoli and Ken Roczen are leading these two guys here to battle over that third place, because Roczen about a second and a half behind Cairoli, and he's about 4 seconds clear of these two here. So looking good for a podium at the moment for Roczen, but I think we spoke to him just in our live show, and he said he was a little bit nervous, obviously riding 450, first time in MX1, big crowd and all the rest of it. And that's understandable, isn't it? Still a kid, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we asked him yesterday, why choose MX1? He could have ridden with the number 1 plate in MX2 this weekend. But, again, he just said he was having fun with that particular bike, not even the 350. So it's, Ken is just an outing, So it's good for him for coming back and trying it. This section here, Paul, sorry to interrupt you, is one of the most spectacular on the track for me, that step up there. People going outside and long, and people sort of like just singling the first bit and going through. What would you kind of take? What would be your preferred line going up there?
I think it depends on your situation. You can obviously, if you've got nobody at the inside, you can rail the outside and jump long, but because of the tight nature of the turn at the top of the hill, if you go double single, you can't necessarily, now with it all being tuned up on the approach, jump the long step down, so it's always going to be the short route. But this part of the circuit here, just listen to the noise as they come through. They've already had Roczen through there. Nagel, not so vocal for him, but at the end of the day, if he was to pass Clement de Sal here, you will definitely hear that place erupt.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that, the difference between Nagel and Roczen for the German fans, and I think Roczen just holds a little bit more of that kind of hero status. I mean, people were here a couple of years ago cheering for Max because he was the only kind of German option, but, Roczen being in the AMA, being the world champion, I think it's just got a little bit more of that star quality about him. But, Nagel going to be a factory Honda rider next year, so it's a nice new chapter for him.
Yeah.
He's going to get nothing out of that outside line. I mean, de Sal's just going to push him wide if he gets that extra speed.
Yeah. Unless he goes wide there, but he can't because it's so chewed up going in. that he has to go wide and then follow, so we may as well just follow at the, you know, oh, back end just coming round on him right at the wrong moment for Nagel.
This is probably the roughest I've seen Tichenthaler for a good few years, you know. It's usually a little more hard pack, but it's really quite chewed up out there.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of the right-hander, just where we saw Nagel have that mistake, come out of that right up onto the pit lane, onto the plateau there. Looks a little bit soft there, not sandy, but almost like talcum powder, you know, and probably similar actually to that controversial section that we had in Mexico coming out of turn 4, the first uphill into the wave sections, you know, before they watered it, before they scraped it all away.
And just here, it used to be like a sandy section, you know, it's the weave through here, but now it's really fast coming up to this double. And Zach Osborne in the MX2 had a big moment there. He almost like bit the dust and went straight into the crowd. It was pretty scary.
It used to be sandy through here as well. I remember before they put the step down in, it used to be very, very rutty down through that part of the circuit, and then this was just a little step up into the corner. But of course, they've raised the elevation there. They've made it a bit higher for the spectators to get in and get a vantage point, like you say, Adam Wheeler, on track or offroad.com, a dress rehearsal for the nations for next year, 2013. But impressed with Roczen at the moment. Can't really not getting too far ahead, but it's amazing what a bit of competition does, isn't it? Because since Nagel's come back in the Czech Republic and thrown all his cards out on the table, Tony Cardarelli's definitely stepped up his game, getting out of the start. And of course, he wouldn't want to have been beaten by Ken Roczen. The thought wouldn't have even entered his mind. So what's the best way to do it? Go out and get 2 decent starts and lead from the front.
I can't remember who it was yesterday in the press room. They showed me some photographs of the start, and Tony Cairoli came out of the gate. He's always a bike length ahead. Every time, every start, it doesn't matter. He's always a bike length ahead. And we were looking at the pictures from the qualification heat yesterday, and it was when Max Nagel and Sean Simpson in the next 5 meters started to catch up with him a little bit. Maybe those 450s just dragging up when they're hitting like third gear. Yeah, I mean, Cairoli's just, you know, it's just been such a huge part of all those Grand Prix wins. I mean, he's heading for 7 in a row now. I don't think anyone's won that amount of MX1 Grand Prix since Stefan Everts in 06.
Yeah. It was just amazing. And it would have been 8 had he not DNF. Well, we potentially believe that it could have been, but big fat 0 in Sweden, of course. The 2 CP377 Monster Energy Kawasaki's of Christophe Pourcel and Sebastian Pourcel riding line astern at the moment, down in 8th place. Not been a great weekend for Christophe Pourcel, has it? The place where he made his GP debut in MX1 last year.
Yeah, it was a bit of a partial situation last year, wasn't it, for Christophe? He came back and just entered the GP. There was a big fanfare around him and didn't really produce much. I think he retired from both races. Yeah. But then, you know, the weekend after that, I think we went to Great Britain and he was fantastic. So, you know, not the happiest of returns here for Christophe, and still a big question mark over where he's going to be next year. Yeah.
And obviously not even any noises are now coming out. Before it was Jeff Ward racing in the States, and now they're saying potentially not. So it could be one of the most talented riders in the world without a ride again, just like he was at the beginning of last year. Tony Cairoli, though, Red Bull KTM, just here, 222 championship leader, world champion, 6 times now for him, of course. 3.7 seconds clear of Ken Roczen. Still a lot of noise over there. And, of course, Ken Roczen riding for Team Germany next week in the Motocross of Nations at Lommel. How do you fancy their chances, Adam Wheeler, for Team Germany?
Yeah, I think Germany have got to be right up there. I mean, with Belgium and, you know, the USA, maybe even the UK. I think, you know, looking at maybe, and France, of course, maybe.
Down. Final corner, just before the finish line jump.
What was he doing there? Did he just get cross-rutted?
Just cross-rutted, I think, yeah.
Well, this is a pretty miserable last GP for Tannel in factory Suzuki colours.
And we know where he's going next year, don't we?
Yeah, UK. Yeah.
And that's just to ride in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when was the last time he went in the UK? I think it might have been when he
MVRD.
Yeah, when he won. Didn't he win one championship there? It wasn't the British Championship. I think it was the rival series.
Yeah. But he's obviously going to be concentrating mostly on domestics next year, but they're going to be doing Grand Prix as well in some capacity. MVRD, are they back in the World Championship? I guess they are, aren't they?
Right,
in MX1.
Yeah. And then, you know, it's going to be, we were talking earlier, the British Championship is the Sal. A little bit of a mistake here coming in.
Slow-mo.
Nagel.
Was at the back end earlier.
The back end.
That was first, second lap, wasn't it? Just getting on the gas and girlfriend hanging over the fence there. Haven't just seen the back end step out. Tony Cairoli 3.5 seconds clear of Roczen at the moment, 22 minutes to go. DeSalle third, Nagel fourth, Pourland fifth. But Bobashev here. Again, Adam Wheeler riding through the pain barrier, ligament damage to the thumb, tweaked it on the handlebar yesterday. The handlebar got out of his hands and just stretched the thumb back. It's just been one of those years for him, and and for the guys at Honda World Motocross, hasn't it? But a bit of good news yesterday. Max Nagel signing for him for 2 years, partnering this guy, number 77, Evgeny Bobashev. Do you think that's the right way for Max Nagel to go, I guess, or was that the only option that he had, really, in terms of wanting to keep personal sponsorships alive as well?
Yeah, I don't think it was his only option in terms of a team or a ride, certainly at that level, but, you know, it probably was the best one. I think in that he's got the right framework there to really step on. I wonder if KTM are just sort of maybe regretting their decision a little bit to let him go. I mean, you can understand, because I think Max has finished maybe one season in the last 4 or 5 just through injury problems.
Yeah, third, fourth, couple of seconds, well, 3 seconds, just that DNF in the second moto in, you know, in Lirot, but obviously crashed to the first turn, going into the first turn last week at Faenza, but obviously picked himself up a dead leg. But, you know, it's not been a shabby return, has it, for him? He's literally come back and gone, right, I'm in the shop window, KTM have already released me, I need to go get a deal, and, yeah. But it's not cheap either.
No, that's right. I mean, we're looking at the results charts here now. I mean, Max Nagel's done 5 Grand Prix and he's kind of only finished 4. I mean, that's like a mini season of how it might be for him, really. It's a case of you make the investment and you only get like a third or 2/3 of the season on the scoreboard.
In terms of, I'll tell you what was interesting. I mean, there's nothing really going to happen here between these two guys. I can't see Sebastian Pourcel overtaking brother Christoph. But in terms of Max Nagel in the press conference yesterday, Christoph out of shape. Oh, Nagel goes through just before the final turn, runs it up the inside of Clement de Sal, goes into 3rd place now. So we've got Cairoli, Roczen and Nagel. So now the German fans have definitely got something to cheer about. Unfortunately, they're 10 seconds behind Ken Roczen and Tony Cairoli, but hear the noise out on the hillside.
Yeah.
Just coming down through here. Had to work for it, though. De Sal ran a little bit wide. He tried to get squeezed, and then good move there from Nagel.
It was a De Sal-esque move on De Sal, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he's always come back. Look, I mean, that's kind of typical him, really. He's not going to surrender any little inch of mud, is Clement.
No, but got out of the rut at the end there as well. Right, what's going on with Cairoli? Ooh. Watch the knee.
I mean, he's 27 today. It's kind of a surprise, really. I mean, the way he rides and the way he is just like he's, you know, sub 25 and has been for the last sort of, you know, half a decade.
But, yeah, going back to Max Nagel, the interesting thing that he said in that press conference yesterday, well, not the politics, yeah, but just there is no number 1, there is no number 2. But everybody afterwards went, yeah, but with the results and the form that he's carrying in at the moment, clearly he is the number 1 rider.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously if you're in a team of Tony Cairoli, you're going to be the second rider, aren't you? It's, you know, and if you're not prepared to live with that, then there's not much room for you. No. And I think Ken de Dijker accepted that straight away from getting a KTM earlier on this season. And
I tell you what, it would have just been interesting anyway, wouldn't it? Even if they hadn't have signed Ken de Dijker and had Max Nagel not been injured and all the rest of it. But Max Nagel halfway through the year going, you know what, I'm only second best here in terms of the championship. Whether he would have made a move anyway.
Yeah.
You know. But we're getting ready to go down to pit lane. I think we're going to talk to Kawasaki. Here's Amy.
Joining me in the pit lane, Lorenzo Resta. We saw earlier Bobby's got some pretty serious ligament damage to that thumb. How was he after the first race?
Yeah, unfortunately, yesterday during the practice time, the ligament broken on his thumb, the one that was injured in Valkensbad. So for sure it's really, really painful. But he's a brave rider, a brave guy, big Russian. So he managed with the pain. After the first moto was a bit painful, really swallowed the thumb, but it's okay. Let me simply thank you to Rui for the 2 fantastic years, and we hope next year to have a better season with our riders. Goodbye to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
Another year goes by, and well, Lorenzo Resta looking forward to 2013, and can only get better for him, can't it?
And big Russian that kind of, you know, summarizes a lot about Evgeny Bobashev, really, doesn't it? And Ken Roczen's not letting
come back down,
get away. Yeah.
Sets his fastest lap of the race this time around. The crowd loving it here. But how much of this is psychological from Tony Cairoli, thinking, you know what, final round, I've got it under control. Just reel Ken in, you know, let him reel me in a little bit, draw him in, and you know, get the crowd, get the atmosphere, and all the rest of it, and then just at that moment, maybe open it up again. Of course, might be Ken Roczen just, you know, pulling out all the stops. 158.8, his fastest lap of the race. That's only 0.6 slower than Cairoli's fastest lap of the race.
I mean, 2 points to make here. I wouldn't mind betting that Ken's just been storing up a little bit of energy, just going through, you know, setting his rhythm in the first part of this race and maybe giving it a real good go from this point onwards. The other thing is that Tony Cairoli's riding with that injured little finger on his right hand. So, you know, maybe he said he didn't want to take any anesthetic for it. He didn't want to be under the influence of kind of medication going into next week. Well, you know, the Motocross of Nations. So, you know, you just wonder if he's been bothered by that a little bit.
Where was that from? Was that from a practice crash, or was that from practice yesterday?
No, he said he lost a little bit of grip on the bars, I think, and then he just sort of went wider. He caught it on a post or on a section of the pit wall or something like that. That's what he was describing in the press conference. But,
took a lot of the skin off of it as well.
I'm not sure if it was broken, but it was definitely pretty gory.
They're looking good at the moment, Tony Cairoli, but when he gets over to the other side of the corner in about 4 turns' time, or the other side of the hillside in about 4 turns' time, definitely going to be a wall of noise. But look at that, 3 seconds though, the gap. So he's obviously had an off lap, hasn't he?
Yeah. And like just watching him out there, Paul, when you're closer to all these, you know, these tough ruts in this German mud, just watching him flying full gas is really just like poetry, you know.
Ken Dyker having a go with number 7, Barragan. This is for 11th place.
Barragan's had a season to forget, really, isn't he? I know he's going to be on the STR KTM next year. Well, another one of those riders in the British Championship, Paul, is going to be stacked next year. Steve Ramon, Tanner Leo, Jonathan Barragan, Sean Simpson, hopefully.
Ken Dyker running it up the inside of the LS Honda. And, of course, former teammates briefly this year. So the Dyker then goes up into 11th on the Red Bull KTM. He's had a quiet weekend, considering he won here a couple of years ago on a Richie Yamaha.
Yeah, he did a double, 1-1.
On birthday day. It was his birthday then, wasn't it? Earlier on in the season.
His last win, I think. Was that 2009?
Yeah.
Or 10?
It was 2009. Takes a look over his shoulder nervously. Sees Barragan there. But I think Barragan, again, one of those riders just trying to get this year over and done with as quickly as possible. It's not been a good relationship between him and LS, has it? And more interestingly, your question in the press conference as well to Roger Harvey about LS Honda, you know, level of support, is there going to be a second team and all the rest of it?
And Tony just lost Dyker's lost a handguard there, and flipping off into Barragan's way. And Barragan's been, you know, hoping for the end of the year since about round 7, actually.
Round 2 was that, did you say?
I was going to give him 5 more races, but is that Kevin Strybos just behind as well?
Yeah, Strybos.
He's been, you know, the last couple of rounds since he's confirmed, well, not confirmed, but since he's been heavily linked to that second work Suzuki ride, he's just kind of gone off the boil a little bit, hasn't he?
And of course he was in a battle for 6th place in the championship. Where is he in the race now? Down in 13th, Xavier Bourg in 7th, so there's going to be a few points pulled back there. Here's Cairoli again. Is he having another moment?
And on the edge of the fence. Ooh, he's going to go close to that green fencing.
I think he's going to get. I thought they're going to keep it around there just a bit longer. That he was going to hit just a bit of bank there and bounce back across the track, but obviously no problems there for him in the end. Roczen though, doing a good job of hanging it in there. This will be a good confidence booster for him as well, won't it? I mean, for Ken Roczen, Adam Wheeler riding at Lommel. He's won there in the past. He would have trained there a lot when he was a Tekka Suzuki rider, of course, Red Bull KTM last year, and not had sand like it. But what do you think to the decision? Obviously the Americans there on Friday, the track was open for practice right up until Friday. You know, there's been, I guess, general chit-chat amongst journalists, amongst riders, and, you know, everywhere, that since last year the Nations was announced, we knew there was going to be at Lommel anyway. The Americans, they might sort of get it handed to them because the deep sand never ridden anything like it. Yet a week before the event, they were able to train on that track, not the actual track, but on the ground in its current form and everything else. And, you know, the general consensus is, had it been around in the US, it would never have happened like that for European riders. Yeah, that's true. But, you know, also some of the comments from the press that were hanging out with the Americans there that time is that Lommel was nowhere near as rough as it's going to get for the Nations Moto. So perhaps it was a little bit of a, you know, not a red herring, but a little bit of a falsehood, really, if they think that's what they're going to have to handle at the races. And when we know how Lommel can get at the end of a 30-minute moto, it's almost Bobby Chef out of shape. You know, it's a case of the riders are racing the track just as much as they're racing themselves. Is this Josh Coppins? Yeah. Getting nudged out of the way there, I think. I'll come back to Grand Prix. Nudged, I think, is the appropriate word. And Josh in 10th place is not bad for a 35-year-old in his last GP. We're down to 11th now. Yeah. No, and I think he's enjoyed it, hasn't he? Got a great association with Monster Energy Yamaha. You know, did a lot for him, all bar win a world title, of course, which came so close in 2007. But you know, a lot of race wins, a lot of Grand Prix victories, good times there and everything else. Of course, there are a couple of riders down this year with Philip Arts, Sean Simpson, one of the replacements. But yeah, stepping in and doing something he never said he would do again 2 years ago was ride for the nation's New Zealand team. But just no youngsters coming through in New Zealand, which is a worrying trend, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit unfortunate for the Kiwis that, you know, they're still their chief GP presence is kind of like an Asian veteran, even though he's a 2012 Australian champion. So, but still got it.
That gap between Roczen and Cairoli, though, 3.5 seconds. So Roczen then on the charge. Just want to try and see the situation in the championship between Xavier Borg and Strybos. It's going to be 6 seconds. We're going down the pit lane.
Joining me in the pit lane, Claudio De Carli. You must be very, very happy with your riders in MX1 this year. Very successful season.
Senz'altro questa qui è una stagione memorabile per noi. E questa è dimostrazione che i piloti hanno lavorato veramente bene. Antonio è stato veramente un grande, sta dimostrando ancora qui in Germania e per noi è veramente una cosa eccezionale. Abbiamo anche Roczen qui davanti a tutto questo pubblico a fine stagione, veramente contenti. KTM ha lavorato bene, tutti abbiamo lavorato bene.
Thanks, Claudio. It's been an exception. With Antonio winning the championship and also doing a great race here, and also it's great to have Ken Roczen with us in front of his crowd racing here in the last Grand Prix of the season. So KTM did a really good job this season.
I like Claudio's singing voice there. It's quite nice, isn't it?
But Ken Roczen looks good on that 450, doesn't he? Okay, it's same chassis and everything else, the 250, but just with the power and everything else, he doesn't look erratic on it. He looks pretty smooth, and I guess Supercross will do that too, though, won't it? Yeah,
I mean, the technique there is just, it's always been there, Paul, for the last 2 or 3 years. Ken Roczen's been one of the outstanding talents to come from Europe, and he likes his novelty rides, doesn't he? The last time he was in Europe, I think he rode the 125cc 2-stroke at the Grand Prix of Italy, or his final Grand Prix.
Didn't quite work out for him, though, did it?
No, it was tougher than I thought he thought it would be.
I think the plan was to get it wrapped up before Geldorf and then go there and ride the novelty 125 at Geldorf, which would have been more forgiving, less uphills and everything else. But, you know, in the end, it worked out that he won a world title on home soil, which probably made it extra special for him, more emotional, because it doesn't happen very often. Tony Cairoli's a 6-time world champion, won his first world title on home soil just 2 weeks ago, and he's been winning them since 2005. So Ken Roczen had the opportunity to win it in you know, in style at home, and so too Christophe Pourcel in 2006. So strange how it happens like that, but you know, there you go.
And Clement Dessau just half a second quicker than Max Nagel on that last lap, so we're keeping a little look to see if it's going to be a good battle for 3rd place.
With 10 minutes to go, that's exactly what it looks like. Back to score for Mark Verpaulen.
Was that a Nagel or a bagel?
Yeah, bagel, I think that was.
Bagel, yeah.
And then we've got baguette next week, so we're all right. Max Nagel in 3rd at the moment.
My money's on Clement Dessau for this 3rd place. I think he's going to get it.
Ooh, nicely through there as well, carrying a lot of speed, dropping down through turn 1 into turn 2. That gap coming down all the time. So yeah, Dessau ready to pull the pin and go. It looks like here, 8.5 minutes plus 2 to go. Absolutely nothing in it, but the German fans out there on the hillside, they're going to be on their toes, and if they weren't vociferous enough for Max Nagel, they will be now, because they will want to try and keep it. A little bit erratic there for Nagel coming through that little wave section. They'll definitely want to keep a 2-3 going, won't they, the fans?
Yeah, put a sec in the pits. And that section there, Nagel just came through getting, you know, just rougher and rougher every lap, and, you know, pretty sketchy coming up to that big double. And people like kind of, you know, cutting it diagonally and going almost across the fence and the fans. It's a fantastic part of the track.
And it's, like I say, pretty high speed through there as well, isn't it? Through those 3 waves, step up, over, floating, and then you carry that speed around the outside as well. It really is nice. Closer than he has been in a few laps, I think, Clement Dessau to Max Nagel. Will he get the support he needs here?
You know, there's lines out there, Paul. I mean, whether they're actually good for overtaking or whether these riders can use them to carry a bit more speed is kind of open to debate. But it's, you know, there is choice. It's, you know, like Roczen always used to say before he went to the US, you know, if you've got an eye for the pass, you know, then you can make it happen.
Have you had a chance to speak to Gauthier Paulin this weekend? Obviously, coming in here, he had a slender 6-point advantage over Christophe Pourcel going into the first race. That looks like he's going to be a dead cert now for third, barring any problems, because obviously he gained a few points. It was 11 after the first race. Pourcel a few more positions behind him in the second moto, and you know, did you sense any kind of tension in him, or, no, or was he okay?
To be honest, I haven't really spoken to him, but you know, I think he's got to be happy with third overall in the championship. I mean, if he had taken that at the beginning of his first rookie season in MX1, then he would have done, because it's just, you know, top 3 is a good result. I mean, I just looking at Evgeny Bobyshev at the moment, Paul, and just thinking, you know, more than 12 months ago, maybe 14 months ago, it's here that he took his first GP win, and he was so fresh and exciting and attacking, and it's such a shame to see him a little bit of a, you know, not like a shadow, but just hasn't got that kind of verve he had to go after Cairoli, you know, this time last year. Of course, he's carrying an injury, but then he seems like there's one injury after another, and it's been 6 months of hell for him.
Yeah. And just for the team in general, you know, Rui Gonçalves not riding here this weekend, but Commander Sal.
Where's he going to go?
All over the back of number 12, Max Nagel. This is the fight for third place.
Up the hill.
Nagel will go double single to the inside. Dessau gets a bounce. That upsets the braking.
Almost didn't get it stopped.
Not going to get through there unless Nagel runs wide here. That's not going to happen. But sensing an opportunity here, Commander Sal going for third place in the moto.
Yeah, he's confirmed as runner-up in the World Championship, so it's, you know, there's no desperation here needed for Commander. He won't want to carry any injury into Lommel. He's got that sort of weak hand still. He's got like a huge kind of hematoma on the top of his right hand, which he's been carrying for 4 weeks.
Yeah, symptomatically based.
Yeah, so you know,
but he's having to ride through the pain barrier as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
But going after Max Nagel, he was second in moto number 1. He's fourth at the moment, and obviously, in terms of the overall, as it stands, Cairoli on 50, Roczen on 42, with a third and a second. Dessau with a third and a fourth on 40 points. But even if he finds a way past Max Nagel, would only pick up 2 more points. That'll be a tie with Roczen, but Roczen will get it second place in the second race. Back to worse, a couple of blisters.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more than that.
Steve Latani,
well, the expression said it all,
yeah,
didn't it?
Exactly. He was on a live show at Lierop, and I said, you know, would it be fair to say you're not happy with the way things have gone this year? And he didn't pull any punches. Really? Put it that way. Yeah, he wasn't impressed with the performance and everything else, and just the whole thing this year with Barry. And for one reason or another, you know, but he's going to be here next year, he said, in the championship. Didn't mention in terms of riders, or he didn't mention, you know, which manufacturers. Of course, going back to the press conference yesterday at Honda, you asked Roger would they still be involved with LS Honda, but that didn't sound...
A little non-committal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xavier Bourg's been the rider linked with, you know, the rider LS. Nagel. Again. I mean, Dessau's just not really, you know, showing a front wheel yet, has he? I wouldn't say he's waiting, but I think he's just trying to find where.
Yeah. Nicely over there this time around. I tell you what, they're closing in on Ken here.
Yeah, you're right. This is going to be a bit of a scrap for second position in a minute. Could change the order of the podium. But Dessau's got to make a move. I mean, you could even say Nagel's holding him up a little bit in some places.
He's close. But in terms of getting a result, Max Nagel will be pleased if he can get hold on to third position, but say, come on, out, not making it easy for him. Gauthier Paulin 14 seconds further back, but I would say for him the bigger picture is third place in the championship in his first year in MX1. You'll excuse him for riding a little bit tight in the first moto and just trying to get through this weekend. And of course, he'll be relaxed a little bit more so going into the Nations next week as a rider for Team France, who, again, had 1 or 2 team changes, haven't they, the last couple of weeks, certainly with Pourcel and going out and Xavier Bourg coming in. But again, how do you rate their chances, Team France? Adam Wheeler.
Yeah, I mean, Paulin's got the ability in the sand. Marvin Musquin, of course, as well. You know, they've got to be contenders for the podium. I wouldn't say they could win it, you know, but I think with Roczen and Marcus Schiffer as well, is also a good sand rider. Max Nagel. I think the Germans are really, you know, got to be one of the hardest threats for the USA along between them and Belgium. But you know, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, Clement Dessau, maybe Ken de Dijk is the strongest sand rider out of that trio. Yeah. But they're going to have that consistency across the board. They're all going to be second, third, fourth. you know, maybe first positions, and that's what's going to, you know, eventually bring Belgium the cup. Like I think they did the last time they won it. You know, I don't think they won any motos, but they carried off the overall.
Yeah. And what about Britain? Tommy Searle, Jake Nichols.
Well, Anstey's terrific in the sand. Jake Nichols is also very good. I mean, you know, all that training in Belgium is going to pay off. You know, and Tommy as well. But you could say, kind way to say it's not his favourite surface, but on that 450, he again is going to be going for top 5 positions, and that's going to be the key to that overall point score at the end of the day.
Well, here is Gauthier Paulin. We were just talking about him a moment ago. Number 21, factory Kawasaki rider. He's done well to withstand the pressure from Evgeny Bobryshev, hasn't he? But is that Bobryshev getting a little bit closer, or is that about the same as it has been for the last 10 minutes or so?
I think it's pretty much the same. We've only got, what, maybe 4 laps left.
But it's a shame for Bobby, because from the first practice yesterday to pre-qualifying, he came out of here like he'd just won those 2 races last year, didn't he? And I thought, oh, he's going to be in for another good weekend. And then, you know, slight moment, tweak of a thumb, ligament damage, and not the Grand Prix result he was hoping for, and having to ride through the pain barrier again. But that's just how it is, as we said. 6 months of pain for him, really.
Yeah. I'm just keeping an eye on the pictures here now. I just wonder if the crowd are cheering for Nagel catching Roxon, or they're trying to cheer Nagel, you know, from the fact that he's defending the position from Dessau, who's just lost a little bit of momentum, it seems. Yeah.
Well, with just a couple of minutes left, plus 2 laps, Kai Rowley leads from Ken Roxon, Max Nagel 3rd, Dessau 4th. That's that battle here for 3rd place, the 12 and the 25. Then Gauthier Paulin is 5th, Bobryshev 6th, and Xavier Gould is 7th. Seb and Christophe Pourcel 8th and 9th. Kenda Dyker is in 10th place. Josh Coppins, the Monster Energy Yamaha, is 11th, ahead of David Guarneri, Silver Action KTM. Kevin Strybos down in 13th, but that might just be enough to see him home in 6th place in the championship. Then we've got Sean Simpson. It's been a disappointing weekend for him. First turn crash and another crash, and obviously left him down at the lower end of the leaderboard in the first moto. And now here he is in 14th place, just ahead of Brian McKenzie, who's actually had some good results since he stood in for the injured Nathan Parker at the STR KTM team.
Yeah, Brian's had a couple of Grand Prix outings over the years, isn't he? But I'd say this year he's actually shone. You know, he's really come in. He's come in at a time also when the MX1 field's been a bit depleted, and it's, you know, it's in the final throes of the season, but he's done a job there. I mean, he's taken points, and it's always good to see the McKenzie name around.
And same to Jamie Law as well, 18th. He's peeled, you know, again, same comments, but points is points in the championship, and he'll be pleased with that. That, you know, 18th, that's going to be 3 more points for him in what is going to be, certainly for this year at least, his final MX1 race.
I was just wondering, if maybe Ken Roxon was suffering a little bit on that 450. Maybe just, you know, the longer motos. He's been riding 30-minute motos, short 15 minutes supercrosses. It's whether he's losing a bit of energy there, but keeping an eye on the lap time. He's actually faster than Max Nagel still, so that gap is a little bit deceptive. Dessau just trying to keep close. I mean, Nagel's no slouch when it comes to the fitness stakes, is it? I mean, it doesn't matter how many races he's missed. If he's back on a Grand Prix track, then he's going to be, you know, he's going to be strong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's this is his 5th Grand Prix of the season, isn't it? You know, it's that is a horrible hole there, just at the bottom of the downside of the Monster Energy Mountain. Riders going either side of that now, but Bobryshev just starting to lose ground on Gauthier Paulin, it looks like there. Gap between them, 2.5 seconds or thereabouts. But Paulin, though, as you say, Adam Wheeler, 3rd place, first year in a championship. Could have been so much better, though, couldn't it? Had a bit of a period in the middle of the season, you know, where the results, okay, it was 4ths and 6ths and 7ths and that kind of thing, the odd 11th thrown in, but it wasn't the same kind of consistency with the good starts and everything else. Why was that, do you think?
I think we saw in the previous, we said in the previous broadcast sometime, Paul, that, you know, Paulin made a little bit of a rod for his own back in the first 2 or 3 Grand Prix by taking a victory and fighting for the moto wins, because, you know, it set a level for him that he didn't think he could keep. There was some internal changes in the team, with Yves Demaria being pretty much a coach and then, you know, disappearing from mid-season for one reason or another. Maybe Paulin hinted towards some setup problems as well, maybe a little bit of a confidence dip. I think all those little factors contributed towards just, you know, he got to lower his rhythm, and he wasn't quite pushing as hard as he could in the beginning of the year. And like we say, the expectations were set that high. I mean, you've got a rider like Tony Cairoli that we've just seen. He's going to win now his 7th Grand Prix in a row. How many motos has he won now? That's going to be, yeah. Well, it's going to be 14, isn't it? So it's 1-1 scorecards all the way from the end of July.
Yeah. Tenorio down in 16th place.
Haven't seen so much of this camera. Well, we've seen it on the floor, but
just Brian McKenzie ahead of him in 15th position. On the STR, KTM makes a mistake himself, and that's the end of the straight just behind pit lane, I think.
I remember Brian's cousin Billy having a big off a few years ago around that particular section.
Then he had one as well through the ruts, going the opposite way, just after the finish line, which is now the step down and step up through there as well.
We'll put it on. I don't think it was particularly his favourite track. And he's another, the rumours here this weekend that Billy McKenzie heading back from Australia to run the British Championship again, be another top flight rider in the UK. Josh Coppins, what's he defending? 11th place here from, is that Davide Guarneri?
Yeah.
So Josh, I said to him in Italy, we're so used to seeing you pushing so hard in the last 5 minutes, usually one of the toughest challenges, and to see him, kind of struggling a bit and getting that fatigue, was unusual, and I think he was pretty much finished. But again, the Australian Championship, another different format, 20-minute motos, and
like 4 of them or something like that in a day. But as well, when he went to Italy 2 weeks ago, Josh Coppins, it was opposite ends of the scale in terms of the weather and winter in Australia, summer here, and it was a hot summer's day there, wasn't it, in Italy? Almost 40 degrees, but a little bit closer to home this weekend. He's over the jet lag, he says, as well. He's been here now the last couple of weeks, so he's had time on the bike and that kind of thing. But again, he's not going to want to try and rush anything or make any silly mistakes, because it's doesn't have to. Got nothing to play for, and I'm sure it was a nice opportunity for him just to be sort of back here for the last couple of races, and of course the Nations.
We might even get the Tiger here just ahead of him. We've got a couple of corners there. We should be seeing Tony Cairoli come across the finish line. There's Ken Roczen.
Yeah. Just have a quick look. Any change in the podium?
Lap there. There's just half a lap to go for Ken Roczen, so Tony Cairoli should
get a good reception.
Yeah. Tommy Searle nearly had a huge endo there in the MX2 race. It was pretty scary. I was watching it through, like, fingers over my eyes, because he kind of rode along on the front wheel for 5 meters.
So at the moment then, Tony Cairoli looking at another double moto win, rounding out the season perfectly with another 50 points. Won his title first race at the previous round, Grand Prix of Europe in Italy at Faenza. And untouchable here this weekend as well. Ken Roczen, third and a second. That's him in the background. There's Tony Cairoli just hitting the face of the jump now. Our race leader, world champion, of course. Commander Sal's going to be third overall. Max Nagel will be fourth. Paul and fifth.
Do you like those yellow boots, Paul? Would you wear them?
I would wear them.
You would?
Yes.
You're a man of style. Never let anyone say against you.
In fact, I'm going to wear some later on. There's a party in the paddock, and I'm going to ask the guys from City if I can just wear them with my black Ustream outfit.
So you don't get lost in the dark.
Exactly, on the way back. But Tony Cairoli rounds the final turn. A double fist pump as he takes a checkered flag for the final time in 2012.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday as well. Ken Roczen, second in the race, that's second overall. And the fireman there really getting behind him this weekend, as is everybody else as well. But
Tony, congratulations. You take the final GP winner of the year, as well as being MX1 world champion.
Yeah, it was amazing, I didn't expect to be so consistent the last rounds. So I win the 7 GP in a row, so I'm really happy. And
congratulations to see you on the podium.
Pit Byra on the quad. Heinz Kinnigadner, the big man in the blue cap, and his kid as well, just there. And Ken Roczen, first and second for those two guys. Commander Sal will be third overall on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1 machine. But a good debut for Ken Roczen. Wasn't quite as impressive as Tony Cairoli's at Donington Park in 2007, but he's on the podium, and he does so in front of his home crowd. In terms of the championship, Tony Cairoli, Commander Sal, Gauthier Paulin. That's how that will finish in 2012. And the flares are off already, out on the circuit. Max Nagel hanging on for third position as well in front of the home crowd. So these guys out here more than happy with what's gone on here this weekend in MX1. It's just a shame that Max Nagel couldn't get it on the podium. Of course, then it would have been a Red Bull KTM clean sweep with Cairoli, Roczen and or Max Nagel in second or third position. Those two would have disputed it between themselves, but in the end, that third place went to Clement de Sal. And Cairoli, invincible pretty much this year. Good ride for Evgeny Bobryshev. Xavier Borg. Be interesting to see how his championship ended up. I think he's just going to lose out on 6th position. Going to be 7th by a handful of points, I think, to Kevin Strybos, who's had an off weekend here this weekend. Classification then, Tony Cairoli wins by 5 seconds over Ken Roczen, Max Nagel third, a German 2-3, Red Bull KTM 1-2-3, Clement de Sal, Rockstar Energy, Suzuki World MX1 was 4th, head of the factory Kawasaki, Gauthier Paulin, Honda World MX1, Evgeny Bobryshev in 6th, Xavier Borg 7th, Sebastian and Christophe Pourcel 8th and 9th, Kenda Dijker 10th, Josh Coppins 11th, Guarnieri 12th, Strybos, Simpson, Leop, Brian McKenzie, STR KTM in 16th, Jeremy Delance, Belgium in 17th, Jamie Law, STR KTM in 18th, Pierre Filippo Bertuzzo and Jonathan Barrigan. Podium, Tony Cairoli, Roczen and de Sal, with Nagel down in 4th place. Gauthier Paulin 5th this weekend, Bobryshev, de Dijker and Borg. Christophe Pourcel, Sebastian Pourcel, Kevin Strybos 12th overall in the HM Plant KTM UK machine. Brian McKenzie 16th, Jamie Law 20th, just 4 points for him this weekend. Well, here's the interesting part in terms of the championship. We know Cairoli, de Sal, Paulin, Pourcel, de Dijker, Strybos did just hang on. Look, 7 points in the end between him and Xavier Borg, and then Tenel Leop had a mirror of a weekend this weekend. He was 8th. Gonçalves loses out to his teammate for 9th. Gonçalves gets pushed down to 10th. Simpson now 11th. That's where he'll stay. Pourcel, Guarnieri, Barrigan, Philip Arts, Nagel ends at 16th. Only did 4 of the last 5 rounds, and they were his only rounds of the campaign, but pretty consistent he was, though. Max Nagel, 3rd or 4th, 3 seconds. DNF with a foot peg issue when he crashed out the first lap in Lierop. Didn't ride the 2 races in Faenza 2 weeks ago, and here with a 7th and a 3rd today. Manufacturers, KTM. That was already a done deal. So once again, winning the individual and the manufacturers. I'm sure the team as well. Kawasaki 2nd. There was a point in Sweden when they were the leaders. Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha and TM. 6 manufacturers in MX1 this year. Good crowd here this weekend for the final podium of the season. 3rd overall, the Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1 rider Clement de Sal from Belgium takes the 3rd step of the podium this weekend. 2nd overall, listen to the noise. Great response there from the German public to their hero Ken Roczen. And what's the Red Bull KTM Factory Racing 1-2, because of course the overall winner this weekend, as we've seen on so many occasions this year, 11 now, Tony Cairoli taking his 54th Grand Prix victory as well. 21 race wins for the season. Really has been a dominant display. Claudio Di Carli, winning team manager. Trophy time, 3rd overall for Clement de Sal. Joachim Janke, manager of the MSC, the club here at Teussenthal. Tony Cairoli nursing that hand injury, look. Wrapped it around a post or words to that effect. Second overall goes to Ken Roczen, going at Calfa, FMNR. Great weekend for those guys. Bumper crowd for the organisers as well. And what's been a great exercise for the nations for next year. Vantage points there, all taken up. Our overall winner, Tony Cairoli, yet again, for the 11th time this year. Not the first time he's won here either, but that's your podium. Tony Cairoli, Ken Roczen, Clement de Sal. Of course, Claudio De Carli will get a win in manufacturer. Jürgen Petzold on hand to deliver Claudio De Carli with the winner's trophy for KTM. Dr. Wolfgang Schrub, though, as he has on so many occasions, hands Tony Cairoli the gold plate. He was already confirmed 2 weeks ago as the 2012 FIM MX1 Motocross World Champion. And he rounds it off the season this year in fine style with another perfect score. Tony Cairoli, the winner this weekend, national anthem for Italy. Austria, once again, winning manufacturer this weekend. National anthem for Austria. So the final FIM MX1 Motocross Grand Prix podium of 2012 belongs yet again to Antonio Cairoli on the Red Bull KTM factory machine. This weekend, though, he takes a double race win from his young teammate back from the States and former MX2 world champion Ken Roczen. Clement de Sal, the Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1 rider, was third. And for Cairoli, that's 11 wins this season, 54 in total, 21 race wins as well. The gate dropped for FIM MX1 race 2. Max Nagel thought he had it nailed on, but it was Cairoli who rounded out the first turn in the front and started to disappear as well. Max Nagel found a way around the outside of Clement de Sal, albeit only briefly, as they tried to close down on Ken Roczen, who came out in second position in the early stages. The battle for third, though, was hotly contested between the Suzuki and the KTM of de Sal and Nagel. And Nagel eventually going through with a few laps to go, but had to work hard for it as well to keep it there in third place. Clement de Sal was about as close as this for at least the majority of the second half of the race, trying to find a way past the German. But Ken Roczen was up front with Tony Cairoli, but Cairoli was just too good for him in the end. Closing stage of the race, Roczen started the fade, but it was another win, another Grand Prix victory for Tony Cairoli. He wins here in Germany. Roczen was second, Clement de Sal third overall. Now, though, we will have the official podium ceremony for the FIM MX1 Championship. Of course, third overall. Haven't seen too much of him this weekend, but the Factory Kawasaki rider from France, riding number 21, Gauthier Paulin, in his rookie season in MX1. Commander Sal, second overall on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1 machine. But Tony Cairoli, confirmed a couple of weeks ago as your world champion in MX1. Of course, just a formality for him, picking up another gold medal, another gold plate, another world championship. Been there, seen it, done it on 5 other occasions. And there are the medals. Gauthier Paulin, third overall in the 2012 FIM MX1 Motocross Grand Prix season. Second overall, Clément de Sal takes the silver medal. In the 2012 FIM MX1 Motocross World Champion, Tony Cairoli. That's 4 straight MX1 titles now for the Italian. 3 on KTM, the first one in 2009 coming on the Ducati Yamaha. Of course, he had 2 MX2 titles before that as well, 2005, 2007. So since 2009, it's been Tony Cairoli in MX1. And here he is in 2012. This time flanked by Clément de Sal and Gauthier Paulin. Just a few more moments. Family photo. That's the championship right there. Tony Cairoli, Clément de Sal, Gauthier Paulin. Christophe Pourcel never really showed up at the races today, which is a shame because we were looking forward to a battle between the 2 French riders, Gauthier Paulin and Christophe Pourcel. We're going down to the podium, though. Here's Amy.
Joining me on the podium, Tony Cairoli, our 2012 MX1 World Champion. How's today been?
Yeah, amazing. You know, I couldn't finish the season in a better way. I win the last 7 GP in a row, so it's amazing. I don't know if in the past I ever did something like this with a lot of GP in a row. And today was a great racing with my teammates. Max Nagel was pretty fast on the first heat, and also Ken Roxon was riding really well on his home soil. So yeah, I cannot say nothing. I think it was a great race today. So many people, so much public, and there is no better way for celebrate our 6th title, and all 3 KTMs, MX1 and MX2 and MX3 also win the world title. So we cannot wish better for better.
Many congratulations, Tony.
Thank you.
Most people would love to have that helmet right there. Tony Cairoli using it as a footstool, but he's a 6-time world champion. He can do what he wants with his helmets. 2 race wins here today. And from the Russian Grand Prix, he's won every single moto. And since Latvia, only a first and a second there, but hey, that's a lot of race wins. 21 in total this year. So Tony Cairoli then makes his way from the podium, drops a helmet this time, but he won't care about that either. But that's it for MX1 this weekend. My name's Paul Menin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in a week's time for the Monster Energy Motocross of Nations at Lommel in Belgium. We hope you can join.